Good evening and welcome to the business meeting of November 16th, 2023. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I miss having students lead us in the pledge at the beginning. I miss those little voices. All right, I'd like to open it up for public comment on the agenda items. Any of the agenda items? The treasurer's report for August and September are available in the business office. Okay, so we're going to start with the consent agenda. Number 1, please.
Resolved to approve the consent agenda, items 2 through 11, as presented to the board at this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? Mrs. Bellino?
The consent agenda includes the approval of meeting minutes for the previous meetings, CSE, CPSE placements, additional hours for various staff members, approval of 2 overnight trips for athletic teams and an athlete, appointment of a teaching assistant mentor, Ms. Keeler, at the elementary school, remending the Kids of Character Elementary School Club stipend, approving the winter 23-24 coaches and stipends, appointing the winter 2023 game day coordinator, approving fall 2023 postseason coaching stipends, and approving unpaid time off for a staff member. Mike's first.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Now, Mike, it's not on my computer, so I got to go to paper copies now. This is going to be
Dave's not here,
confusing.
so we're on to Mike.
Huh?
Dave's not here, so we're on to Mike
I know.
first.
So we're on to presentations, yes? Is that correct?
Surprise.
So our first presentation this evening will be Mr. Michael Lee, our Director of Technology. Give our technology opening of schools update. Thank you.
All right, this message is for Dave. You snooze, you lose. That's right. That's right. All right. As Jeremy said, I'm Mike Lee. I'm the Director of Technology, and this is the Technology Update. Let's start out with a quote. Technology is like a fish. The longer it stays on the shelf, the less desirable it becomes. How many of us have a CD player at home and we actually use the CDs? Anyone? I don't. No. And this is what I mean. And this quite elegantly leads us into the upgrades and updates. That's why upgrades and updates are so important. So if you recall, last year we spoke about interactive flat panels. We were pushing more interactive flat panels into the classrooms to replace the aging smart boards. So this year, we got some more. Now we've got 122 interactive TVs. So all of our academic spaces are covered, and we continue to offer professional development for teachers so they know how to better utilize this equipment. And Dan's training actually often gets sold out, and his most recent training had to be relocated right here in the cafeteria because so many people signed up for it. Now, just as a review, these aren't just regular TVs. Teachers can access all their content without a laptop just by using their device access card. They could tap it on the screen and they could access stuff on Google Drive and the video server. And the teachers could also record and share the lessons with the students in Google Drive right from the display. The high school tech office also moved. Our new location is gives better access for support and training, and the new location is in the high school library. This gives better access for students and teachers for, again, support and training. And this space has seating for up to 15. And so it's really good for conducting small group training. And this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's bigger than the space that we were in, which was just extremely narrow. And we can move that cart and everyone could kind of sit around that TV, the interactive display, and we could hold small group trainings.
Oh,
Now, security.
good.
We've done a number of security updates, some of which we can't talk about here in a public forum, but we did make some updates that you could see. And here's one of them. New wide-angle cameras.
Wow.
This image, right, is from a single camera in the middle school gym. So one camera could get end-to-end, right, left and right, front and back. Now, we do have another camera that has that covers that blind spot. So what we're doing is we're going around the district and identifying areas that could benefit from these new wide-angle cameras, and we're replacing those. So really, these are security changes you could see. AV systems, we've had quite a number of AV system updates, starting with right here. The cafeteria AV system, this is new. Great for large group training. We recently had a superintendent's conference day, and we utilized this space to, as an instructional space. What's great about this space is we've got the Mike Cirilli patented one-switch on and off system. It makes it super easy for everybody to use. We've got a high-resolution laser projector. Who doesn't like lasers? And we've got wireless mics and HDMI plug-and-play. We also installed the Huddle cameras. That's for sport events streaming over at the gym and the turf. We've got the band room recording studio up and running again. The PAC has 2 new channel RTS communication systems, direct HDMI connections at the podium, and the turf has a new sound processor that protects the speakers from being cranked to 11. Does anyone recognize that picture? Or am I the only one? Yeah. But these go to 11. So CBT, computer-based testing. This year we worked with Questar and Xterra to deploy the testing applications on the Chromebooks. And thankfully, or I guess thankfully, we successfully were able to participate in CBT this year. Grade 4 did that for ELA in the spring. This fall, just a couple of weeks ago, we did the PSATs. And now, coming up, spring 2024, we'll be doing grades 5 and 8, ELA, math and science. Okay, so what are we currently working on? Well, as you may or may not know, last year we said we were going to replace all of our Xerox machines. We did that. So now that they're all replaced, we want to roll out something that's called PaperCut for Xerox machines. Now, this doesn't mean that when you walk up to the machine and you collect your papers, you're going to get paper cuts all over your hands, because that would just be awful. What PaperCut means is, or what it allows us to do, is what's called find me printing, right? So, for example, what I could do is, if I wanted to print something out here, and I were going back to the business office, I would just print it right where I am, and that print job would go to the print server. And then when I got to the business office, or really whatever Xerox machine I wanted to pick my job at, I would take my device access card, tap the machine, and then my print job would print right there. And this is all in an effort to move toward 0 uncollected print jobs, right? And Xerox says we could reduce waste by around, or by up to 20%. So we'll see. But it definitely will reduce some waste. We're looking into a new help desk system. It's called Incident IQ. And what this could do is it could centralize tickets from operations and technology. And it has asset management built into it. In addition, it also has integrated forms, right? So you've got your forms, you've got asset management, and you could have your operations and technology tickets all in one platform. What's also kind of cool is we could build a knowledge base. So the system would recognize, oh, you're having trouble with this. May I suggest, steps 1, 2, and 3? Maybe you could figure it out yourself, right? So it gives the users, meaning like teachers, students, staff members, possible solutions for their problems. We're evaluating 2 products to help with language translations. One is called Pocket Talk. This is a standalone handheld speech and text translator. It's EdLaw 2D compliant, so it doesn't go out to the internet and take what you're saying and then returns the results. This is all just kind of standalone. We're trying this out, but we're also looking at Time Kettle. Time Kettle, as you can see, it's like an AirPod device that you would wear with a microphone, and it does two-way simultaneous translations that are also hands-free, so it supports note-taking, and it supports 40 languages. Kurt Worrell is currently evaluating this with 2 systems, and we're going to see how that goes. We're continuing to use iPads as assistive devices, both as speech devices with a program called Touch Chat, and also assistive listening for the PAC. This is more of like an HR thing, but it's something that technology is involved with, so I decided to put it in. Talented to Frontline Central. So Talented is currently where we have all of our employee onboarding paperwork. So what we're doing is we're taking all of that paperwork from Talented and we're bringing it into our primary system, which is Frontline Central. So we're going to have everything all under one roof, right? Frontline Central. The middle school uses this cool app called Toddle. And what Toddle does is you could build your curriculum that's aligned to IB standards and practices. But that's cool. But I think the coolest part about the app is you could use the app on your phone to capture your student learning and evidence right there. So as you see evidence being produced, you capture it, and then you could associate that to the kid's account, right? So it's all been super streamlined. I kind of wish that I invented that. Okay, so AI, the path toward understanding AI. We're all on a path toward understanding AI. And it's not just you and me, right? It's not just us. It's the world. And we're all kind of wondering, what effect will AI have on everything that we do, right? And some people will say, oh, it's going to be used for cheating. Well, yeah, maybe at first it would be considered cheating, maybe, but I'm old enough to remember when using a calculator was considered cheating, right? I'm old enough to remember when using a spell checker or using grammar checker, those were also considered cheating, but now they're just tools that we use. Now they're actually just tools that we really can't get away from, right? You're sending somebody a message and it just automatically corrects your spelling, right? It's almost hard to get away from some of these tools.
Did you have the teacher who told you that you'll never walk around with a calculator in your pocket?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what we were told.
Yep.
Couldn't use the calculator all the time because you'll never always have a calculator on you. That was a little short-sighted, apparently.
Right. So now you've got to think, well, what's the difference between a calculator and a spell checker and AI? Right. Now, I know that sounds like a joke, but it's not. What's the difference? Okay, so a calculator, that's a technology that's self-limiting, right? A spell checker is a technology that's self-limiting. What's self-limiting? Okay, so a calculator is only ever going to be a calculator, right? It's just going to do that. Spell checker is only just going to do that. It's only going to check your spelling, right? But AI, by its very nature, is exactly the opposite of that, right? AI, by its nature, is designed to grow. It's designed to be more than it started out as, right? So with all of what's going on with AI and all everything out there, it's interesting. The path sometimes toward understanding AI, right, sometimes ends up looking like this. Right? It's like, what do I do? Where do I go? Right? And that's understandable, right? Because when you look at how AI is currently marketed, and this is real, you've got a progressive glasses lens that's being marketed as powered by AI. Like, how does that work? Like, what does that even mean? Okay? Now, this kind of marketing reminds me of back in the 3D craze. Remember when the 3D TVs was first coming on and everyone wanted to brand everything 3D, right? So now we've got 3D toothpaste. I don't even know what 3D toothpaste is. Actually, what is 2D toothpaste, right? Does that come out flat? Like, I don't know what 2D toothpaste is. Okay, but thankfully, right, in partnership with Jackie, we do have a path. So, what is AI? What is this AI thing and why should I care? All right, so just real briefly. AI, that's a neural network. They're systems that learn, right? And so then within the context of education, we're generally talking about generative AI. And generative AI are AI models that use neural networks to identify the patterns and structures within existing data to generate new and original content. So then why should you care? Like, why do we care? Because this is the future. This is the way people are going to work from now on, just like the calculators, right? Just like the spell checkers. This is the future. So what's the path? Well, a group of teachers, and Jackie and I, we've been attending the Future of Education workshops hosted by BOCES. And there, we've been able to discuss AI with different districts. What are you doing? How do you feel about it? Right? Where are you going? And it seems like everyone is sort of doing collective self-exploration, right? So we're exploring all on our own, but together. And then we're all regularly getting together and reporting back to each other what it is that we're finding, right? So that's kind of like where the region is at this point. We've also started to incorporate generative AI professional learning resources in newsletters and in workshops. Jackie also hosted a AI event for parents to kind of get them on board with what generative AI does, what it can do, how you can do prompts. And speaking of prompts, I think even this week she demonstrated generative AI prompt engineering, like how to engineer better prompts to high school teachers. And so we're going to continue exploring. We're going to continue to vet more generative tools, and there's definitely more to come. So now looking ahead, these are things that we need to plan for, really things that we need to buy. So this slide is from last year. You can see that we finished purchasing finished replacing the Xerox machines. We finished replacing all of our primary and backup storage, and we still have to replace the network core. So this is this year. Server replacement, network core replacement, and then we have to replace switches and wireless access points. Most of this stuff we could pay with the remaining Smart Schools money and E-rate. So really shouldn't cost us that much. So I'll leave you with another quote. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. So AI may give you some intelligent answers, but does it have imagination? I don't know. And this is the technology team. So thanks.
Very good.
Any questions?
Michael, if I could, the smart boards that were utilized back in the day, I mean, I was around when they were using them. What happens to them? Are they recommissioned? What do you do with them?
Yeah, they were decommissioned. A lot of those boards, like most of those boards, were purchased through BOCES.
Right.
So BOCES actually owned them. And so then when we were done with them, we just call BOCES and say, we're done with these. And then they come and pick them up.
Great, good.
Yeah.
Just another comment, Michael. I keep thinking back when your dad first brought internet with Dr. Hill into the middle school and actually spread that spider's web over to the library in town
Yeah.
and how far we've come. It just fascinates me when you do this update every year. I'm blown away by it, and just so impressive.
Thanks. Thank you.
It's so wonderful to see that the upgrading of technology is happening in so many different ways and in different departments, from security to CBT testing to high school and collecting artifacts digitally to AI. I was fortunate enough with a few of the other board members to be able to attend the AI workshop that Jackie hosted. It was fabulous. It was interactive. I want to really suggest that if you are learning about anything new, have any questions about anything new that the world is embarking on, that Putnam Valley is embarking on, that we're hosting a workshop for, please come, because they are so well planned, and you really did a nice job that night, Jackie. So it's great to know that you all are working together so nicely, because you can see the fruit of what's happening here, and your passion for this work just comes across so beautifully. So thank you so
great.
much for your dedication.
Great. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you,
All
Michael.
right. Thank you.
Hold on, I have a question. Sorry.
Nice
You're not
try.
done yet. You're not
I'll use bigger fonts next year.
I already yelled at him about the
promise.
font size, so, thank you. The computer-based testing, from a technology standpoint, did you run into any challenges with that, or how did that go for you guys?
The only challenge that we ran into wasn't from us.
From the state.
Yes. The challenges that a lot of districts have experienced is with everybody logging in at the same time. Sometimes kids are unable to log in. But that's not us, right? That's the state or the people running the PSATs. They need to account for all those logins, right? If an exam starts at 8, right? They need to plan for everybody just going to log in at 8 at all at the same time, right? So, but us in-house, we didn't have any issues.
Good.
Thank you. And I'm just curious, Barbara and I were talking, that when we go to any of our BOCES meetings, that we walk out of there feeling that we're doing really good as a district. And I'm just curious, when you go to the Future of Education workshops, does the same thing happen, or like, do you feel like, compared to others, how are we?
Yeah, I would say that we're. You know what? I'm not one to. I don't like bragging, right?
Oh, brag.
But I think we're doing very well.
I have no
so,
problem
too.
bragging. We're doing quite well,
Yeah.
and we are following the laws that are put in place by New York State, to make sure that we keep our students' privacy safe, while also making sure we are exposing our teachers to what is out there and what they need to know. Giving them opportunities to experiment and try things, sending them articles and the benefits and the weaknesses of AI, the biases it presents sometimes. So we're making sure our teachers are informed, and when we walk away from those meetings, we feel like we are doing a really good job making sure we're taking this slow and steady. We're not rushing into any policy decisions or turning it on, turning it off, which some districts have done, where they've just banned it altogether and then thought about it and said, oh, never mind, we're going to unban it. And so we're actually taking a measured approach, and that makes me feel safe, and I believe Mike too.
Yeah. And I think what maybe puts us or gives us an advantage is we're not afraid to put the students first, right? Like, we're always, any decision that we make, we're always looking at it through, okay, well, what is actually best for the kids? And then we go with that.
Thank you.
Yep.
So as a former technology director, I greatly appreciate all the work that goes into making these things possible. Certainly your willingness to get to yes. I know I've worked alongside many technology directors where the answer is no, because that's the easiest answer. And I think that you've always dedicated yourself to finding a way to get to yes. And that's greatly appreciated. For all that you guys have been able to accomplish, the fact that nobody knows that any of that stuff was done speaks to how talented yourself and your team are, because at the end of the day, everybody expects the dozens of internal programs and the millions of external ones that we connect to every day to just work. They have to work in the hallways, they have to work in the classrooms, they have to work in the cafeteria, they have to work in the gym. No matter where we are, we live in a world where we just expect this Laptop's going to connect. It's going to log me in. It's going to give me all of my documents, and I'm going to be able to access anything, any information that I'm allowed to do. And it's just part of what they expect to happen. You never get the accolades of, like, hey, Mike, my computer logged right in this morning. Thank you. Although I wish you did. But you certainly get the phone call of, hey, Mike, my computer won't log in this morning.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I do want to take just a quick minute to recognize the service that you guys provide. And obviously, it oftentimes goes unnoticed, and that just speaks to how well of a job you're doing at doing your job.
Right.
And I know, knowing the names that are up on the board now, that work would be impossible without the talented team that you work alongside.
Absolutely.
And again, having spent many years as a technology director, I don't know if I've ever worked with colleagues that had so many talents simultaneously. And the people on that screen being able to address both infrastructure or technical issues, as well as hold professional development sessions for teachers, is really unheard of in the technology world. And that's typically 2 different people in every building to be able to facilitate that. And we're lucky to have the amazing staff we do that can do both of those jobs across all 3 of our buildings. So thank you to you, and thank you to all of them.
All right, thank you.
Hold on, Mike, hold on.
I think it's a standing round of applause there.
I just wanted to check in with the students and see if, like, do you feel like technologically that you're prepared, that everything that you've done or been given a chance to use has set you up for success?
Yeah, I would say like roughly, yeah, because I think a lot of what we do now, like as we were saying, as Dr. Luft was saying before, how like we just expect everything to work everywhere in the school, and I think we're very lucky to have the opportunity to have that, and it makes working like just so much easier. It just makes like that entire process a lot easier, in my opinion. So yeah.
Yeah, so we've been using laptops in elementary school. I remember we had the white laptops, the thick white laptops, and we're really privileged here, obviously, to have like really good technology to be able to use, and that's been going on for decades, and we're really privileged and lucky to have, everything that can make learning and classroom life easier, and it's always advancing and updating for our help and stuff.
Hear it? No?
All right.
Okay. So you
Thank
feel
you.
like you're fully prepared to go off to college, and whatever they have for you there, you'll say, I want to go back to Putnam Valley.
I mean, from what I hear, last year, I think we do this every year, or maybe not, but we had a group of around like 20 alumni who graduated the previous year come back to Putnam Valley, and I'm not 100% sure on the technology basis, but I know that the majority of those alumni said that college was easier than high school. So I think that is a large part, in part due to like how privileged we are, as Reese was saying, to have these great facilities of technology here to help us in our research and our education. So yeah.
Great. Thank you. Now you can go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, our second presentation this evening will be our facilities and operations, and I'd like to invite up Mr. David Spittle. Welcome.
That's why I was supposed to go first. This is like following Taylor Swift. Ridiculous. I'm supposed to be the warm-up guy, and then hand it off to Mike.
Yeah, I
and
bet they've
that's how it's
never
supposed to
said,
go.
you've never heard that
And
before.
I got caught in the hallway talking to a parent.
At this
for
meeting, we only
2
call your name
minutes,
once.
And this is what
If you don't
happened.
answer the bell, we move right on.
I got caught talking to a parent. It was important.
It was. We
Sorry.
appreciate that.
All right. So here's my facilities update for this year. So I want to start with our mission, and I changed it a little bit. It's to create and maintain a resilient, safe, healthy, and beautiful environment that reflects a culture of excellence and opportunity. And I added resilient this year and underlined it because that's going to be a theme that runs through my presentation, and what I'm thinking of most these days is to create is resiliency. We've done a ton of work to this, to this school, to this campus, to the elementary school, and we haven't forgotten about the bones, right, of the buildings, but. There's between weather being more violent these days that we've seen and changes economically, I think it's important to focus on resilience. So
You get extra credit for using 2 of our 4 core values in that
See?
mission statement right there. You got resilient and opportunity.
Okay. That's a coincidence. Thank you, though. So here's, this is how my presentation is organized here. Basically, these are projects from the high school, middle school campus, elementary school campus, and I'll talk about transportation, and then a capital projects update. That's the whiteboard in my office that's about to be erased, because you can see my handwriting's horrible, but you can also see that a lot of things are checked off. So we've really gotten a lot accomplished since and I've erased some things too. So it's going to be erased tomorrow morning. So one thing is the softball and baseball field upgrades. This is what the dugout down the third base line looked like 2 years ago. And it was not in great shape. The fence all beat up and that. So, and the softball field didn't look much better. Now we have new dugouts that I designed. Pretty cool. Backstops, all new fencing, backstops and netting, and new home run fences that you'll see out there in the spring again. And last year, we finally got the dugouts installed into the softball area, and this is what the softball field looks like now. Beautiful. Same upgrades, of course. So I don't know if you folks remember, because this is what the courtyard looked like as we finished building the wellness center. It was a grassy area, and when I first got here, I'm like, wow, that could be used. There were some picnic tables out there, but no students ever used it because I felt it was probably too wet for students to want to walk out there on the grass and get their shoes wet at 10 o'clock in the morning with the dew on the grass. So I thought about some designs from the first year I was here, and this is what it looks like now. And last year when I gave a presentation, that learning wall, or the wall wasn't here, so these pictures now incorporate that. There it is, and we put the Putnam Valley High School sign on the exterior, and I really think it's a nice addition to the school.
It is.
And what makes me most happy is to see students using the facilities that we create here, and this was, I think, 2 years ago, but it was a good picture. Now this year. I caught a class out there reading, but you can see, I don't know, when I took my camera out, they all put their hands on their chin to make it look like they were really working hard. So the other thing that we just finished was the high school roof project. A little history that I always like to give in my presentations is, if you don't know, the school was designed. The high school here was designed with the concept of it reflecting the rolling hills in Putnam Valley and a stream that runs through it. So that the blue athletic entrance and the main entrance, that's the Hollow Brook. All right, so that's what it is.
All right, can we interrupt? Did you guys know that? I'm very curious.
I did know that, but only last year. And when I found out, I was like, oh my God.
Makes sense, right? Looks cool.
Yeah.
So I took this picture this morning. It was like, yeah, that actually is the best shot of that. Did anybody else know?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, I learned about that last year in my history class, and I don't think very few people knew, and everybody tried to picture it in their heads, and it just didn't work out too well in the mind.
When we built the wellness center, I wanted to put a curved roof on that, but it would have been $10 million, so we couldn't do it. So that's but it's still green. So this is what the roof looked like before. You can see this is 22 years old, and it was actually sliding down into the gutter, and it was not holding up. And this is when we talk about resilience, and we felt that we needed to take care of this before we started seeing issues inside the school from leaking. This was my summer experience, terrified that one of these guys was going to fall off the roof. but there was an army of people up there because we had so much rain this summer. They have to tear it off and put the new roof on all in one day in a section. So, and here's what it looks like now. And it looks kind of leathery, but you know, the sonophil, the material we use on the outside, it's going to last. We have a 20-year warranty on it, but every seam is heat sealed. It's melted together. So I have a lot of confidence this roof is going to withstand all of the 1,000-year floods that we have every couple of months now. Yeah, I did an inspection on it. The Sonophil rep came to inspect it as well, and he's going to submit it as the roofing project of the year because he's so thrilled as to how it came out, and so am I.
Does that come in a monetary award for this?
We get a little trophy thing. Another small thing, but you know, this is work on the athletic entrance here, and now that the roofing guys are out of the way, you can actually see what we've done there. This is like, you know, when people come to your house for the first time and they can't find the front door, that's what was happening here for winter sports, and there was the signage was inadequate, and it wasn't really a clear way to get down to the athletic entrance. So, so we put a new sidewalk in over there, and this is what it looks like now. With the new sidewalk, a gate, so when we have an athletic event, I'm going to close that gate off so that we're not having people walk through a parking lot to get to the entranceway. We have signage, clearly you can see, also signage in the front of the school, so if someone gets here from a different, out of town, they can say, okay, the athletic entrance is that way, and this points them there, and it points them down the walkway, down to the, down the stairs to the athletic entrance, so. Elementary school courtyard, this is a before picture, and we had what I think is good success with the outdoor space here at the high school that we decided to upgrade the elementary school courtyard. And again, I designed this, might be my next career. But this is what it looks like now. I don't know if any of you have seen it. With new furniture and that, a new pathway, and here we are with some kiddos using it, which is always, like, again, my favorite part.
Cute. Wow.
I caught him out there on a nice day. And this is the outdoor classroom area that is finally done, that was really just, we didn't spend any money here, it was mostly elbow grease. I did spend like $3 of my own money on goldfish to put them in the pond. They're there, and so now we have goldfish in that pond, and the kids love it. So that's what it looks like now. So that's before, that's after.
Beautiful.
So pretty cool stuff there. All the other things the other upgrades I presented last year. So now we're kind of we're never done there, but we've got a nice deal. The upper field at the elementary school. 2 years ago, remember last summer we had all that rain? Well, 2 years ago we had a drought, and a severe drought. We lost a lot of trees around here, and we lost this field. It was unplayable. We couldn't, the lumps in the grass were so bad that they couldn't scoop up a lacrosse ball there, so I had to cancel sports there, and instead of spending $500,000 on an irrigation system, I decided that we could do it ourselves, which was a little aggressive, as it turns out, and I thought it could be a 2-week project, but we have about a half a mile of trenching we dug, and as you might have heard, there are a few rocks in Putnam Valley, and
Yes,
every
I know.
trench we had 60 yards of rocks we took out by hand.
Goodness.
And so that's all the trenching, and now that's what it looks like as of yesterday morning, and it's now it'll be playable for this spring. And I still have some work to do on it in the spring, but we'll get out there. And but now, if we have another drought, we can keep the field. And we're not going to lose it. And we have it wasn't expensive, but it's a irrigation system that reacts to rainfall, so we're not going to waste water on it. A small but apparently very impactful thing we did this summer was put some fencing up at the elementary school. I had the special ed teachers hugging me, thanking me for these things, because I noticed when I was out there walking through, as I do, that we had some teacher aides situated at different places and not with the kids. And they're like, well, these kids, we have a few runners, and they're faster than we are, so we have to position ourselves here while they're in here. So I said, well, how about we get some gates? So I brought some home run fences over just to get them through the end of the spring because the baseball season was over, and then this summer I had some actual fencing put in, and now the teacher aides can be with the kids, and they don't have to worry about running off into the woods. So it's pretty cool. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is so what's next? We have really tightened up a lot of the projects around here, finished the roof and all the things I just talked about. Now, next is this Capital Projects Committee that Dr. Luft and I have been working on, and we've had, I think, 5 meetings. They've been really well attended. We've toured the facilities, walked through, told them all of the things that I want to do, and also gained a lot of input from what people want to do. I'd love to hear what the students think of what they would like. So we've toured the facilities, we reviewed the long-range 5-year plans that are constantly updated. We've identified the district needs and wants. We've gotten budget estimates from our architects on these things, and we're trying to see what we can afford. And then we met with our financial advisor last week to understand the economics of it and how much we can spend on upgrading the infrastructure and adding facilities here without having any impact on taxes. We know that's important. We're very sensitive to that here. And the financial advisor was very, my head was spinning coming out of there because I realized, if I miss this opportunity, we're not going to have another opportunity until 2034 to have a situation where we have some debt retiring that we can have no impact on the taxpayer. And so my head goes to, oh my gosh, well, is that going to last till 2034? We know the parking lot's not going to last till 2034. We know the turf isn't going to be unplayable because we're not going to pass GMAX tests in about 3 years. So we need to replace those things. I'm looking at also HVAC infrastructure, mostly at the elementary school, and starting to really vet these projects with the idea that if we don't get them done, then we're going to miss an opportunity, and then we're going to put ourselves in a situation where we're going to have to say, hey, sorry, we need $2 million for a boiler at the elementary schools because it just exploded, and we're going to need to raise taxes because we didn't see it coming. But we see it coming. That's my job, is to see it coming, and I'm working hard to really understand, to have as much vision over the horizon as I possibly can. Problems are going to happen that I don't see, but I'm trying to do the best I can on that. And I think based on the financial advisor that the work we're doing now won't really start construction probably till 26 or 27 that summer. So it's going to be a couple years. But we have to do a lot of work now, and I implore people to get engaged in this capital project because it's really important for the district's long-term health and our resilience. So these are some of the things I identified when we walked around. I had them last year in a presentation, but here's just illustrates some of the reasons why I'm terrified if we don't get this capital project done, is because this fence is not great around the track. It looks good from a distance, but up close it's not great. Track needs to be resurfaced. It's 22 years old. We didn't resurface it when we redid the turf. Okay, so this is a really old track.
Is that hole not supposed to be there?
It's filled in by now, but
Yeah,
I took a picture before we filled it in. So hash marks keep coming up. You know, we have a whole system how we glue them back down, and we do that. We've had we had a company come in and do repair, which we do every year, but it keeps happening, and numbers and hash marks, and we can't have that. You know, we don't want somebody to trip out there. So it's starting to get bad. We did have a lot of rain this year, but this is the main field is overused. Okay, we have to put football on there in the outfield of the baseball field, and if it's wet at all, they wreck it. And we're not going to. I don't know if we can recover the field in the outfield, especially right field, in the spring. It still might not look great. This is a path that students use every day from the middle school gym down to the turf, and it's not a great way to go. If it's wet and there's dew in the morning, I've slipped and fallen there, so I'd like to build stairs. These are the retaining walls. Now that I've shown you these pictures, you'll notice that they're crumbling everywhere. I don't think there's any danger. I look at them all the time, but these need to be replaced. And it's not just out in the parking lot. It's on the side of the academic wing out there. If you look at that, that's starting to go like this. We have a lot of water issues underneath this parking lot that I'd like to solve in when we redo the retaining walls. There's some other great pictures of retaining walls, and the parking lot is not going to make it another 5 years. It's going to be really embarrassing in 5 years, and I don't know. It's not going to be great. Elementary school boiler. Lot of talk to the person who's been working on this boiler. He just retired. He's been working on it for 30 years, and he says it might get another 5 years out of it. We might get 10, but he's not going to guarantee it. And these are old oil burners. So I went down to Mount Kisco to talk to the architects and met with a HVAC expert engineer on trying to look at all of the different options that we have for the elementary school heating that will set us up to not have a catastrophic issue if this boiler goes and have to spend a bunch of money, to have an interim step if we can't afford to do a complete change to ground source heat pumps over there, that we could at least get an interim step in that direction and not have to be forced to have another inefficient oil burner. So they're going to come back to me with some ideas after a 3-hour meeting and talking about there's a lot to HVAC and requirements of ventilation and all that and that. So we're working on it. So I want to vet it completely and give the best advice possible for the board on what we do as far as capital spending on the HVAC system at the elementary school. So the next steps, as I just talked about, I'm investigating alternatives, meeting with someone who specializes in grass fields to see how we can take care of our fields better to withstand all of the use that they're obviously not, that they're unable to do now, and some of the alternatives to whether we add a new turf or we just try to maintain the grass fields that we have and see if that'll hold up to the use and give our students the most opportunities out there, as well as all the HVAC stuff I just talked about. Cost-benefit analysis, identifying projects to pursue. That is going to be that's ongoing, and I'm going to add a couple, but I'm going to surprise Jeremy with those later. And and then tightening up the budget estimates. And this is what happened in the last time when we built the wellness center and did the addition on the middle school and the work at the elementary school, is that, as we get further down the process and it becomes more of a reality what we're thinking about doing, that's when we really have to tighten these budgets up and get a real a conservative idea of what we're going to spend, because schools are not allowed to overspend. We can't do it. So we have to be conservative in how we estimate budgets. And then planning a timeline of how we're going to get it done. And as you know, capital projects, people think that we don't have stuff going on here in the summer, so we throw them on the summer, but the school's busy all summer long, and I still have to work these projects around them. This roof was a perfect example, but the planning of the timeline so operationally we can function seamlessly and not know that, except the guys were banging on the roof a few times. You guys heard that, right? Yeah. So, but the project got delayed a little bit, the roofing project, but there'll be no more banging. It's done now. Transportation is there's a lot of difficulties in transportation based on the marketplace and drivers, and consolidation in the transportation industry is making it very difficult to see a future that isn't going to be brutally expensive for the district. Just telling you now, we're Dr. Luft and I are working like crazy on trying to come up with how we're going to deal with future expenses in transportation and not have to cut services to our students, because that would be the alternative. We do more in transportation than we're required to by the state, but things are getting very expensive, and there's a shortage of drivers, and there are other things happening in the transportation business that are going to create higher costs for the district, that we're trying to see that and do what we can to avoid, again, an impact on either the taxpayers or the services that we offer our students here in the curriculum. Driver recruitment being the main thing. So a year ago, we knew that we were going to run into some issues with getting drivers because there's a nationwide driver shortage. So we worked on new pay scales in the CSEA contract to make sure that we at least could offer a competitive salaries for the drivers. And I also met with Dana and Jeannie and Natalie and HR and had a meeting about how to put our best foot forward in recruitment, and we thought about what objections to overcome in an ad, and we thought that people were scared about driving big buses, so maybe we'd advertise for van drivers instead of bus drivers, and when we put our new salary scales up here in black and white, so and what we have to offer. I do have a few leads. We just started this last week, and we're hoping to we're getting some reaction, but this is going to be an ongoing problem for us. Any questions?
David, the work that you've done, and I mean this, it brings such pride to our district. I look out front every time I drive up that driveway with that beautiful sign now that you created and the pathways right behind it. I think back at the elementary school. I lived there for 10 years as a student, kindergarten through 9th grade, in that building, the elementary school building, and the changes. I mean, if then I had a time machine and moved forward to now, I would not recognize the place because it is that much more impressive. And I got to tell you, that pond, I've said this before to you, that brings back such great love for that building, because I was a kindergarten kid when they built that pond, and to see it
It's like 100 years ago, right?
gone to ruin and now brought back to life, it just is awesome. I mean, you have done some tremendous stuff.
Thank you, Sam.
But you have seriously, you have an engineering background? Because the way you create this stuff, I am so damned impressed.
See, I walk around all the time with my head spinning like this, looking for opportunities.
I mean, the pathways and everything, it's just beautiful, really.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your work and your commitment to the district.
Yeah.
You've really taken your time to make a commitment to students being able to learn outside. And that's something that I think is so incredible. You know, in a place where we spend half of our year pretty much inside, for students to be able to feel good about working outside from the high school level all the way to the kindergarten level. I mean, it's just beautiful to see. This courtyard at the elementary school
Yeah,
is
gorgeous.
gorgeous. The courtyard here is beautiful, and I just think that it's so wonderful that our kids now have a space to be able to do that type of learning outside. And I would also just say that beautiful spaces matter. They matter to everyone. There's a sense of pride, like Sam said, that comes to our students, and I'm sure that you guys can speak to that, but also to the staff. Our staff deserve to work in a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And so really kudos to you. Thank you so much for all that you do. This was wonderful to see all of these changes over time.
Can I just say thank you? But I will take the compliment. I appreciate it. But I have, just like Michael does, an incredible staff that I was able to inherit when I got here, and it made that you could see that the pride that they have in the place. This school, when the Garrison parents came here last night, I called Janet. I was like, Janet, Garrison parents are coming. She goes, oh, don't worry, David. We'll take care of them. And I didn't have to worry. And the place looked beautiful because it always does.
Yeah.
And they have pride in it, and they do more than the operational staff, the cleaners, the custodians, my clerical staff. They all get exactly what you said, is that it matters, and it matters that we have pride here, and it establishes excellence in what we're trying to achieve in education here. You don't walk into do a college visit to a rundown college and say, oh, I'm going to get a great education here, right? Mm-hmm. It starts there, and then it's not the only thing, but it allows for people to understand and say, yeah, Putnam Valley is not a rinky-dink little school. We care about everything here. So proud
Thank
of it.
you so much.
Yeah.
David, a couple things. First of all, the athletic signs, thank you, because whenever I walk the parking lot, that's the question I always get. Where's the basketball court? Where's that? So now we can just point the signs. So the elementary outside learning center area is beautiful, and the irrigation system, I just want to make sure you call out, you use your own staff for that. You did.
Yeah, I think I started to say that, but I got wrapped up. But yeah, so when I said it was going to cost like maybe $500,000, I didn't look into exactly how much it was going to cost, but we have a really great crew outside, the grounds custodians, the three of them, and we did get a few summer workers, but I really thought it was going to be like a 1-week project, and we started digging, and it was like, oh no, this is going to be, and it turned out to take all summer to do, which I have a couple other projects that I didn't quite get done this summer, but because of that, but we saved the district a ton of money, and these guys are willing to do that. It allows us to then spend some capital project money on other things, and it's really just my, I'm always looking for opportunities, but sometimes I push them a little too much.
But along with that, your internal designs, I mean, that's a cost savings to our district and taxpayers
Yeah.
also.
That's
So
right.
I want to make sure to call that out. You've done a great job with that, so I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Without a doubt.
So I think we saw a lot of parallels between our two presentations tonight, and Dave, much like Michael, doesn't get a lot of phone calls in the morning to say, hey, just want you to know my room is the perfect temperature today. Thank you for making that happen. But certainly gets the calls if it's a little bit too hot or a little bit too cold. And again, we all expect it just to work, right? You flick the switch, the lights go on, the heat's the perfect temperature, and everything just works. And I recognize that there's a tremendous amount of work that goes on behind the scenes to make all of those things happen. Dave, much like Michael, is someone who's willing to get to yes. So I'm sometimes amazed he answers the phone when I call. because he knows it's either I've received a complaint and I'm passing it on to him, or I had a sleepless night and I have some brilliant idea that is sure to mean more work for Dave and his people. And that's pretty much the only reasons why I call him. So I'll start calling you and let you know that the room's the perfect temperature. But much to what Dave had said before, we're lucky to have the amazing staff we do. And no matter how wild these ideas are or how much of a perfectionist I am, I could be like, Dave, there's still a rock on the field here. And Dave's like, we moved 60 yards of rocks. I'm sorry we missed one. But they're always willing to step up and do whatever is necessary to get the job done. They've been back behind the district office building steps that look like they were built by professional contractors, install irrigation systems and build bridges, literally bridges, walkways and walls, and just a true compliment to the pride that we have. And a couple years ago, I was stopped. We actually had another school visiting our wellness center, and they were looking to really build an identical structure. And I had run into their facilities director in the hallway. He had gone down there, met with the architects, and then I caught him on the way out, and he stopped me, and he said, I just want you to know, this is the cleanest, most well-kept building I've ever been in my life. And that's someone who does this for a living at another school district. And I think there's a lot to be said and a lot of research that shows that if students and adults take pride in the facility, then they're more likely to treat it that way, right?
Yeah.
So if you were, to your point, walking into a building that was all run down and dirty, you're more likely to leave something behind or care a little bit less. But when you walk into beautiful spaces like we have in all three of our buildings, it comes with a sense of pride, and people sort of go the extra step to make sure it stays that way. And I really think that's a compliment to you and your team for providing that to our students. So thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Wait, Dave, come.
I just wanted to add something.
Come back.
I am so proud to go to school in such a beautiful building and to be able to learn here. And I love when we add the aspect of outside learning. That's always fun, especially in the spring when the weather's beautiful. And it's so great to see, even in the elementary school, that's a thing still, and it's always evolving and always updating that, and it's really beautiful. I would love to be a little kid and out there. And yeah, you can definitely tell how much effort you put into this, and just by how clean everything is and how you're always like looking for projects and looking up things to update. And just thank you to you and also to your staff and the janitorial staff too for upkeeping the campus and just making it like a beautiful environment for us to grow up in and to learn.
Oh, thank you
That's
so
really
much.
important.
That means a lot. Thanks.
Very nice.
I was going to point out that I was pretty sure Charlie Garcia missed a soccer ball and kicked that hash mark up during practice, but
Maybe on the backfield.
he got Mike Lee to delete the video footage, so.
I can't confirm or deny that.
All right, so I'd like to invite up Ms. Jill Figuerello, who's going to talk a little bit about our food services, new food service vendor. Welcome, Jill.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited about this.
So I figured this year, since we had a new food service vendor, specifically, to go over some of the, the things that they've brought to the district, and I thought it'd be worth mentioning. We don't really talk about it too often. So they've been providing us with this monthly dining review, and I know we've only been through a couple of months, but I'm finding it very helpful in knowing like what's going on in all of the buildings as far as all of the, the different grade levels and whatnot. So in there, they give a great review of what they've done and what they've brought to the district. So I think we should share that, and we should make sure that we, give our comments and compliments to the food service director, Sandra Rankin. I know that's another person that goes sometimes unappreciated because she's in the, you know, you don't see her, she's not out in the public, but she's behind the scenes preparing meals, you know, for all the students every day. So anyway, the Whitson's Culinary Group is our new food service company. So as far as accomplishments go this year, I think she's pointed out there's new ovens that have arrived in the high school and installed. They purchased in a lot of, like, you'll see, I want to say, frames that, you know, display some of the things that they are offering, and they have them decorated throughout the serveries, which, you know, we didn't really have before. We had less of, so I think that's a big improvement. They've gone to the length of discussing and making nurses aware of the benefits that Whitson's food planner you know, can work with, and meal planning for students. So she speaks with our nurses and gets you know, an idea of, or feeds ideas to them too, as far as, you know, what we have available for students. So she's bringing a lot of awareness to nutrition, okay? So focus was on some of the tools that the parents and students could take advantage of and help plan their meals, if, for instance, if there were allergies and things like that. They've hung all new posters, like I said, in the schools within each servery. They're always looking for new ways to generate participation. It's important to keep the food service up and running and self-sustaining, because it's not part of our general fund budget, that, you know, they generate enough revenue and participation and satisfaction with the students who are eating the food, you know, to come and buy and purchase the food and not have to bring lunch to school or breakfast. And they continue to experiment with new ideas all the time, which I think is really great. This year they're offering what they call a steady standby. So they'll have a grab-and-go chicken Caesar salad, as well as a vegetarian option. And I think, you know, maybe some of these things we've had before, but no one really knows they're out there, and I think it's important to highlight these things. Parents, unless they're buying school lunch for their students, you know, they really don't get an idea of what we have. So some of the events that they hosted this year were the new teacher welcome orientation, the superintendent's conference days, our senior breakfast, the middle school back to school nights, pizza. They had a pizza catered lunch with Mr. Mello in the high school, so they could do some work together and collaborate, and you know, just a different environment. Again, like something like the outdoor classroom, but instead, you know, a different environment for the students to work in. They had a newcomers breakfast in late October, and they've also created an online training for all of their staff, so that, you know, they can all be exposed to it, whether or not they've been able to attend. I know a lot of these things food service workers used to have to go to attend in the county Department of Health, things like that. Now they've made that all available online for them, so they can train their staff properly. The personnel, I want to talk about personnel a little bit for them, because they are similar to the bus situation, where they're having a shortage on hiring people. They're having a shortage on hiring personnel for the cafeterias as well. So they're continuing to post those positions. There's still one person short at the high school. They've had someone retire, and then there's someone on leave right now. So there's always like a constant, you know, just like with any staff, there's constant turnover, there's constant changes. It's not an easy position to fill. It's only a couple of hours a day. It's a part-time position. And so they're facing a lot of extreme challenges with that. There are part-time positions, these are part-time positions that are school calendar, right? So they can be very, you know, attractive to parents who are home and have their students in school. And by the way, which I know Jeannie has pointed out to me, pairs very well with monitors, bus monitors positions, because, you know, they're both part-time positions, and they can be somewhat flexible throughout the day to serve both departments, transportation and cafeteria. Not in all cases, but it is possible. So I want to just put that out there, and I don't know, I know like people are listening, but everyone here is listening, and they can certainly pass on to people that they may know. It's something we've always put out in messages that we're looking for these people. We're posting it on Facebook. So anybody that you can offer up as, or offer the positions to would be well appreciated by the food service company and by us as well. They do work for Whitson's. They wouldn't be working for us as far as the food service goes, but the bus monitors would be working for the district. So what else is coming? They're continuing to add new items to the high school menu and middle school menus. Currently, they're making a lot of new things in both buildings. They're trying ham and pineapple pizza in the middle school, and they rotate that in whenever they can. They're doing some ricotta, trying spinach ricotta pies in the high school. I don't know if anybody here has tried them. You guys might want to comment or not. I'm not sure. Good or bad or indifferent, I still would like to know. Those are things that, you know, if they're not going well, we can help improve that. And if they are, we'd like to hear that too, because feedback to her is very important, our director of the food service, to know or not know, you know, what's going on in there and how you feel about that. They're having a French week at the high school, a new menu item at the middle school as requested. I think it's going to be a surprise from the Principal McCarty. He's come up with something that he's asked her to do, and she's going to fulfill that. So just to give you an example of, you know, she's trying to meet the needs and satisfy the students. And then, you know, any general comments and questions. There's a Survey Monkey available that any student, any parent could access. And, you know, so if you don't want to talk about it in public, or, you know, you have some things you'd like to say, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. There's a Survey Monkey. I don't have it displayed, but we can certainly put it on our website. It's surveymonkey.com, and then there's there's a whole bunch of letters. I don't want to read them out. No one's going to remember them. And also, I just want to mention that our participation as compared this October to last October is very good. It's pretty much the same as it was last year. So that's good. That means we're keeping people interested in what they're serving. And I'd like to see the participation go up, because as the participation goes up, we're able to increase the program, you know, the money that we make from the program goes back into the program is what I'm trying to say. So we can improve facilities if we need to. We use that money instead of taking money from the general fund budget to pay for replacement of equipment, for remodeling of kitchens, and anything that's associated with the cafeteria. We can use those monies to do that without having to bond it, put it in a capital project, or take it from our general fund budget. And so far, we have been sustaining that very well, both with Aramark and with Whitson's. But I love the new service that we're getting, and I love the fact that she's sharing all of these. She shares this monthly now. It's like a monthly newsletter on what's happening, what's going on with the food. So, if anybody has any comments or questions, I'd love to hear from the students.
Yeah, from the students. I'm curious. Do you bring lunch, or do you buy lunch? And if you buy lunch, how is it?
I personally get lunch from the school, and personally, I enjoy it. I enjoy the lunch that's served, like you mentioned, the ricotta, like parsley pizza. I enjoy it. I think there's a good amount of diversity there. I think there's just a lot of apprehension from students because of like a long-lasting stigma of lunch food, right? So just seeing something that may appear to be a bit out there. Like I remember one time there was like some sort of Indian cuisine. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that was there, and then like a lot of people were just very apprehensive and hesitant because of like the previous stigmas. But I enjoy it personally.
And I think she tries to offer different things just to change it up. I think what students have to keep in mind is that this is like a very, you know, it's mass produced, right? This is a large serving. They're serving a large number of students at the same time. The price is certainly not what you would pay at a deli or a restaurant. The prices are fairly low, not something you would be able to even get a full meal for on the outside. So I think those are all things that people need to keep in perspective when they're thinking about what they're getting for what they're paying for. We certainly offer a la carte items, but we could offer more. Of course, they would be more expensive and not considered what we call a reimbursable meal. A reimbursable meal is what they serve you so that the school can get aid back on those meals. but there's other offerings, and we can ask for more. I know this year we are trying to stay on top of them for sticking to like Boar's Head cold cuts, more high-quality items that are being offered. So any feedback we get can be, reviewed and ask, can we substitute this for that, and so forth. So I really do appreciate the feedback. So anytime anybody would like to offer that, and I know we have the Health and Wellness Committee. They meet a couple of times a year. Hopefully, I don't know how many times a year they meet. Is it like once a month? Is it?
3 or 4 times
a year, that's it right now. But do we have any students? We have students on that committee too, or?
I think Mr. Worrell and Mr. Kantrowitz are still looking for students, so if anybody is
Right.
interested in doing that, that would be great.
Right.
And I'll follow up tomorrow and send the link to the survey to at least our board reps, and they
Right.
can help get the word out.
Yeah, yeah.
Good,
I think
good.
anything you guys
Good
have to
idea.
offer, you guys are the ones who are eating it for the most part, and it only helps us guide them, so.
If
Thank
we
you.
could
Thank
make
you.
that survey readily available to families, I think that would be good, especially for the elementary world where students may not be able to fill it out. I have heard some feedback, some positive, some very positive, and some not as positive. So I think it would be good to just make that survey as easily clickable as possible.
Right.
So we can get the feedback. And the other thing that I would just suggest is I've seen food service companies, this one in particular, actually do food tastings for students so that they can try different things, vote on them, and then oftentimes that brings in more students who want to buy that particular lunch. So just something to consider.
Right, okay.
Jill, real quick, thank you for highlighting those behind the scenes. I know it's appreciated by all, so thank you
Yeah,
for
we
doing
haven't
that.
really spoken about it much
Yeah.
in the past, so.
So thank you. And just to confirm, even though we changed the vendor, we maintained the staff that they had,
We
correct?
maintain the same staff. We made sure that when we put out the bid, that we asked for the food service director to remain. So that was part of the bid spec that we put out, and we ended up being able to retain her. So I think that has, a lot to do with the service that we're providing. I can't tell you how above and beyond she goes, and the communication between all of us is very good. So that's why I welcome any comments, good, bad, or indifferent, because she's willing to accommodate if we're seeing something that she isn't, and vice versa, so.
Right, thank you. And I should not use the words "we changed the vendor." The vendors changed.
True that. It's,
so,
it changed as a
We didn't
result
do it.
of the bid,
Correct.
going out to bid, because
Right.
that's what we have to do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
So I could summarize that. If you guys eat more paninis, we can buy more panini makers.
It's all up to you.
She just can't make them fast enough.
Yeah, the panini line is very popular, and it's very long every day.
We get a lot of panini feedback, so we're aware. All right, so our last presentation this evening is the second reading of the 4000 series of our board policy, which is curriculum instruction, and the first reading of our 2000 series, which is school board governance, and our 3000 series, which is administration. Similar to previous policies, these policies were reviewed by NYSBA, New York State School Board Association, and then by our district's policy committee. I think they've had several sets of eyes on them, and obviously the 4000 series has already been shared once publicly, and this will be the first time the 2 and 3000 series will be shared. So I know Helen is the other member and not here, but Sam is. So I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add on these?
What's that?
Anything you want to add about these policies? Or?
No, NYSBA does a pretty good job in, giving us the legalese to work with. There are only a few changes, and it's more than just, language-oriented than anything else. So they're good, and we seem to have a pretty steady pace. I'm just wondering, Maureen, when will the next series be in? Do you know? Okay, good. Yeah, definitely we want to wrap it up before the end of the year. We have 5 more to go, and I think we can get those out of the way. Upon the readings, as I said, they pretty much have stabilized over the years. We had existing policies. NISMA, reviewed it, did additions or deletions as they saw fit, and then we added what we thought was most important. So I'm very pleased with the way it's going.
Yeah, I'm glad that we've at least, gotten started and hope to finish this year. I will say, part of what makes your job probably easier than would normally be is I know that Natalie has gone, every year she's kind of adapted and changed things that needed to be changed, student pronouns, whatever it happened to be, making sure we had the new policy for kids with special needs. So even though we have not done a full review and didn't have a committee, we have had people looking at this and kind of keeping it. So Natalie, I know that that's part of what you do. And, we appreciate the fact that it wasn't like, oh my gosh, we have to completely rewrite everything. So I know it made it easier to do, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll approve the 4,000? Is that the second reading? Is that tonight? Right.
Correct.
And then it'll go on the website, yes?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. All right, reports, students.
Steals the superintendent's.
There you go. Take everything that he has on his list.
All right, we got a lot of things to talk about. So,
Okay.
So next week, November 20th, we have our 8th annual Gratitude Festival, which is run by the Tri-Am Music Honor Society and our band teacher, Mr. Odell. And it's a celebration of gratitude for Thanksgiving. And, we have musical talent. We don't have any poetry this year, but, we normally have that. And it's a really good night. Lots of gratitude in the air, and it's really fun.
Can I just add, beautifully, the invitations that you sent were beautiful.
Thank
It
you.
was really nice.
Thank you.
To get one from you, I mean, I also got it from the district office, but it was just really nice that you sent them out. I really appreciate
It was.
it. And they were really well done. Lovely.
you.
Yep.
Lovely. Go ahead. Sorry.
Check. That was one of mine. Sorry.
We also have some incredible recent sports successes. To name a few, we have our cheerleading team making history and winning states. A junior, Jonathan DeReyes, he went to states for track. Girls volleyball team won sectionals and ended their season at the state regional game. And our field hockey team made it to the section finals. Our National Honor Society has been very active in a lot of fundraisers, bake sales to raise money for the Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital. We also have a coat drive, a toy drive, and a food drive to collect items to those in need, especially during the holiday season. We have new Mu Alpha Theta Math Honor Society inductees, and on November 28th, we have our World Language Honor Society induction with the newly added Chinese Honor Society. As Mr. Spittle said, we had a student and parent tour night for Garrison 8th graders, guided by our Big Buddies from the Big Buddy program, which went really well, and we got a lot of really good feedback regarding that about how great our school is and the great programs that we offer and courses and electives, and people were really impressed overall with how clean our building is and how beautiful it is, and it's really great to see seniors embracing the leadership role with the Big Buddy program and making important connections with other students. Speaking of Big Buddy, we have this week and next week we have our Big and Little Buddy Friendsgiving, which it used to be called Big and Little Buddy Pizza Parties. So that's an event within the Big Buddy program where we meet with the Big Buddies meet with our little buddies. We no longer can have pizza parties because that's competing with the kitchen staff and their food. So now we have like other treats like cookies, I think, supplied by the kitchen staff. And it's just like It's during lunch, and it's a way for us to connect with our little buddies in person. We have an IB information night, December 6th. This was a couple weeks ago, but we unfortunately did have an accidental lockdown, and we are diligently working behind the scenes from that and learning a lot and fixing communication for the student population.
I just want to point out, I didn't have that one on my list. I wasn't going to bring that one up.
Nice. Eduardo Racinos was nominated for the Heart of a Giant Award. I don't know if you guys heard of that. And he has moved on into the next round and now needs to create a video to present to the panel. Mr. Ryan Alsasser wanted the individuals recognized that have been supporting Eduardo through his journey with the Heart of a Giant Award. Mr. Mahoney and Ms. Schutz took charge with the IB film class to create a video directed by senior and IB diploma candidate Sierra Gabriel that includes interviews of multiple students and staff members, and they've all been working really hard with that for the past 2 weeks. And we look forward to presenting it to the Heart of a Giant panel on Monday.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to Thanksgiving break. And that's it.
You didn't mention that since we met last, you guys had your play.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was amazing. I
Oh, you
wouldn't
saw
have, except that I knew it was you. I wouldn't have recognized you in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I thought that Charles, I said to him, like I thought that was a perfect role because he didn't have to do anything; he just had to lay there. Then, in the second act, he had lines. I know, but I thought, like, boy, I could have. Even I, don't act, could have done that. But no, it was great. You guys were great.
Poor
I
Charles.
loved it. So.
Well, you were laying there. Reese was in a boxing match.
I mean, it's a lot harder to die when somebody's punching you and you're trying not to react.
It's true. It's true.
Mentioning that, so we did have a very successful The Play That Goes Wrong, and we also on October 27th we had Color Wars, which is a
That's
very
right.
big
That's right.
school event here.
Yeah.
And that's fun for everyone.
Seniors won this year,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, not always,
Okay.
but
Well,
and it's virtual now because of COVID, which is fun, especially for me. And I just wanted to say that correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mahoney, but we made a record with streaming, right, for that?
It was pretty close.
Yeah, we had a lot of streams, which is very cool. From people like alumni and people all over the world. Yeah, that's great. It's very cool.
Over 1,000 unique streamers.
wow,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's good.
So about the same as we get watching our board meeting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
more
right.
than-
Okay.
I heard that's more than graduation.
Just wait for budget season, it'll really take off.
Karen,
And all of you
anything
done
to
a
add?
TOK
Yeah.
last week too, right?
Oh yeah, me and Kira and the rest of the IB diploma candidates.
Those are the few things I have left.
No, go ahead, Charles.
As the first presenter said before, quote, "You snooze, you lose." So this one, this is,
Well said.
But me, Kira, and the rest of the IB diploma candidates, we gave presentations to some members of the board. Some people in the previous cohort. Yeah, and TOK exhibitions, which we focused in on a question, and we each individually picked 3 items that resonated with us to kind of dissect that question and respond to it. So, if you have anything to say about that.
Yeah, we have the exhibitions where we have the we have to write almost like it's not a paper, but it's different objects with write-ups on each of them and how they connect to your question, and then we had to turn that into a presentation for IB, and yeah, we got to present to a few members of the board and then to our peers and the junior class, so that they get a view of what they'll have to do next year. But yeah.
The artifacts that each of the presenters chose were so varied.
Phew.
I mean, even when they chose the same artifact, it was for a totally different reason, like, so it was like a totally new thing. It was really well done, yeah, and all of the students.
Yeah, and one thing I thought was interesting about that specifically was that I think a lot of people had the same question that they were answering. And
Number 20. Yeah.
Number 20, yeah. And some of those people had the same artifact, but I think a big thing about IB and especially TOK is the process of getting there and utilizing their own personal processes of how that object connects to that question specifically to them made it just more like interesting, the exhibitions themselves.
It was great.
Definitely, like, a lot of people, I was included in that, did do prompt 20, which was exploring knowledge and personal experience. And I think it was very interesting how so many people had the same prompt, but they I know that a lot of us had very different objects, objects that you wouldn't think would go in a presentation like this, and the way that we were able to connect them to ourselves was pretty interesting, even with the same prompt.
Yeah, I found it pretty fascinating, and I noted that 20 kept popping up, but every person who presented that theory of knowledge based upon that prompt had a whole different scenario. It was never the same. I mean, we're talking objects from swimming pools to Bibles to guitars to, I mean, it was just outstanding, really impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Love.
Ditto. Well, lucky for me, there's a few things that happened in other buildings that they didn't get. So I did also want to quickly recognize, I'll go through these as quick as I can. I did want to recognize our game day cheerleaders for the state championships, and I will be asking the Board of Ed to invite the team to be recognized during our next meeting on December 14th. As we've done with previous state championships, I think certainly worthy of our recognition for them during our board meeting. Our volleyball, as mentioned, sectional championship, won the first game in regionals before unfortunately losing in the regional final. Jonathan Duraeus, 5th in the section, 42nd overall out of 130 racers across New York State in the championship. And field hockey, I was at the sectional championship game for the second year in a row. It was a crushing, heartbreaking defeat. We had made it through the entire game without giving up a shot on goal.
Right.
And their goalie was phenomenal in making all kinds of saves when our girls took shots. And then their first shot of the game in sudden death overtime went in, and we lost.
Yeah, 1-0.
It was heart-wrenching to watch. But it's the second year in a row we lost in the sectional championship for field hockey. So, again, very proud of them to get there 2 years in a row. Dominated the entire game, and just unfortunately one shot didn't go our way. And that's how it works in sports. We had a successful first responder event. I want to thank all of our community members who came out, especially those who come out and participate in our equipment and apparatus. I know it's a tremendous amount of work and logistics for them to free up equipment. We have everything from SWAT team vehicles to bomb-sniffing dogs to robotic explosives, robotic toys, and all that kind of stuff. We even have a helicopter came and landed here on campus, which I thought at first was landing on the roof of the middle school as it came in. Thankfully it didn't. But I do want to thank, obviously, the Putnam County Sheriff's Department. We have a close relationship with Westchester County Police. We had members from Ossining, from Yorktown, from the state troopers were here. And obviously our volunteer fire department always shows up in force, and they let kids wear their turnout gear and taught them a whole bunch of different, how different tools work. And actually, at one point, there was a huge line for our ambulance corps where kids were learning how to perform CPR and then doing that on one of the dummies they had there outside of the ambulance corps. So a huge thank you to all of those individuals who took time out of their day, and obviously up the line of command that allowed them the freedom to bring those cool toys for us to check out. As you had mentioned, the senior class had won the high school color wars. Always an interesting day as the superintendent of schools. My face somehow ends up plastered all over different decorations. There was a dunking a basketball at one point, and there was at least one other use of my face.
without my permission. No, it's always almost overwhelming when you walk into the building and see the amount of work that's done as they decorate their hallways overnight, and then like that, it's back to normal. It's pretty amazing to see. Theater Works had their play, The Play That Goes Wrong. It was, no, okay. I found myself tearing up sitting in the seat. I was laughing so hard. And it was really special to have two of our board reps star in the play and get to see them in a different light. So it was really funny, well done, and kudos to everyone who was involved. Barbara, Crystal, Jackie, and myself attended the Westchester Putnam School Board Association Regional Dinner. There was a presentation by the Planned Pilot schools out of New York City, the charter schools that have been approved for performance-based assessments in lieu of Regents exams for graduation requirements. They're part of a small pilot that the state is looking to expand. I actually found it to be somewhat of an advertisement for the IB program, which I thought was very interesting. They were talking about how they created, you'll never believe this, guys, they let the students come up with their own question, and then they get to research that question, and then they have to present their research on the question that they developed to everyone else. That sound familiar to you guys?
I've never heard this.
No,
in
I
my
never
life.
heard. I'm like, they're doing internal assessments for IB. This is like a verbatim of what we do. Some classes have oral assessments they have to do. But it was really affirming for us to hear how much of what these individuals are doing through this special pilot program is really embedded within our IB program here at the high school. And obviously everyone's aware that the state is looking at graduation requirements and looking for multiple pathways, and I'm hopeful that the work that we're doing around IB will fit seamlessly into whatever those new regulations are. I got to attend some of the Theory of Knowledge exhibition presentations. Again, it's always very exciting to hear. I'm always intrigued by what artifacts individuals pick. But again, a huge accomplishment for those students who are well on their way to earning their diplomas. Superintendent's Conference Day, we had Dr. Amy List come in and do an anti-bias training for all staff, so elementary, middle, high school, all district office, facilities. Everyone had an opportunity to participate in one of those sessions, so kudos to her. Our Facilities Planning Committee, we heard a lot about that. Our most recent meeting was our financial advisor provided a presentation on budgetary conditions, allowances, and state aid projections that would allow for a tax-neutral project. Mu Alpha Theta, Science Honor Society inductions, congratulations to the new inductees. Our elementary school held their gym show. You guys remember the gym show?
Yes.
So that's always an exciting time. The gym is packed throughout the day for students, and then in the evening for parents. I remember having to learn to juggle to participate in the gym show. They even had the gym show when I was here. I don't know if they had it when Sam was here, but when I was here. Did you have a gym show, Sam?
When I was at Putnam
Yeah.
Valley? Yeah, we did, but it was performed mainly by the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
Okay.
Like the seniors of the building at the time. The little kids applauded. We thought it was great.
Nice. I think I juggled apples and had to eat one while I was doing it, if I remember back that far. So then we had, obviously, the Garrison Parent Evening. I had our Garrison students were here yesterday to visit, got a tour and a presentation, and then the parents came last evening. The feedback was extremely positive, and I know we had touched on the big buddies who had taken the parents around the building. They're always the star of the show. One tour group got very detailed. We thought they were missing at one point. I'm not sure what they talked about, but they got an official tour. They got everything. I think they saw the boiler, the roof. They found the pool that no one could ever find. They got everything. But I actually heard from the superintendent. I was at a meeting this morning with the Garrison superintendent, and he had said some of those individuals, Garrison had their board meeting last evening, left here and went to the Garrison board
That's
meeting.
impressive.
And were singing praises for what they saw here in Putnam Valley. So it's a partnership we're very excited about. It's a partnership that really cost our school district nothing, right? Where we don't have to hire more teachers, we don't have to build more classrooms, we don't have to buy more desks. We simply have open spaces, and we would love for more Garrison students to take advantage of those opportunities that we're able to present here in Putnam Valley. So more to be seen as to how many of those incoming 8th graders take advantage of all we have to offer here. Our DEI committee met today. We did some defining of terms and started to review data. I had my superintendent's listening hour just before this meeting. So while the turnout was low, we had some insightful conversations about many topics, including transportation, curriculum, graduations. What else off the top of my head?
Fourth grade, fifth grade.
Graduation, fifth
Yeah,
grade at
that's
the
all.
elementary
Great
school.
coming back to that.
Yeah, that's good.
So it was glad for the individuals who came out, and always welcome the feedback we received from the community. And my last one was the Gratitude Festival on Monday. It's always a fan favorite for the, amazed at how many people we could fit into our band room.
That's going to be cool.
Cool.
I'm looking forward
So
to
little
that.
Are you guys
caveat.
performing?
Yeah, any of you performing?
Yes.
I was supposed to perform
Oh,
on
yeah?
Monday night.
Really?
It was going to be a surprise, so surprise is
sorry.
out.
I'm sorry.
No, that's, I was going to talk about it anyway because I actually wound up having a late conflict at work, so I'm not going to be able to come. So I reached out to the team that's running it to let them know, but I will be there next year. I hope you come back to see it. All right, we can
What were
sing
you going to
together.
do, sing?
I was going to sing and play and hope that you were going to do a duet with me.
I would love to, but I didn't know anything about it.
And now you got a whole year to
Real
practice.
glad.
Yeah, we
yeah.
got a whole year to practice.
Yes.
Okay, good.
You touched on it. I'm always amazed. There is
It's always
this
great. Get your flannel on.
significant number of alumni that come back for it
Yeah.
every year. It's always nice to see faces that I haven't seen in several years.
Yeah, and we have some alumni coming back to perform
Oh, great.
as well, which is always exciting.
Excellent. Okay, so we're moving on to new business.
Yes.
Item number 1, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of the schools to accept the resignation of sixth grade math and science leave replacement teacher Shelby Grasso from the district effective Friday, November 3rd, 2023, as per document 87/24 attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 2, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Nicole DeAngelis as a 7-month leave replacement teacher at the high school and middle school effective November 27, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 or sooner at the discretion of the Board of Education on Step 1 MA prorated of the PVFT salary schedule. Ms. DeAngelis holds Math 7 through 12 initial certification.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 3, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to accept the resignation of the director of business administration, Jill Figuerella, from the district for the purpose of retirement, effective November 30th, 2023, as per document number 92-24, attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Sam?
Second.
Questions or comments?
So while we would typically take this opportunity to recognize someone who has committed so many years of service to our school district, I have a feeling we will be seeing more of Jill over the next few months. So we will give her proper goodbye, all in good time. So thank you.
I mentioned to Jill that I was hoping Helen would be here so Helen could read this and not me, so
Yeah.
thank you, Jill.
It's always hard to lose a member of our family. We're happy that she's going to be able to retire. But just like her presentation tonight, it's just another example of how she goes out of her way. She's not just sitting in an office with a calculator. She goes out of her way to connect to us, to parents, to students. So she will be missed.
Jill in her area is someone we always want, talking about the food service, highlighting those behind the scenes. That's Jill in her area, so I'm very proud of that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 4, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Gina Pilato to a probationary appointment as a school monitor effective November 27, 2023, with a probationary period of 52 weeks, November 26, 2024, at the elementary school on Step 2 of the CSEA salary schedule.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 5, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Mary Ellen Jack as a long-term substitute grade 6 elementary teacher at the middle school effective November 6, 2023 through a date to be determined by the Board of Education at the substitute salary rate of $120 per day. Ms. Jack is enrolled in a 5-year master's program at Pace University, and her elementary certification is anticipated to be issued in December 2023.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 6, please.
Resolved to adopt the Board of Education action items in support of the 2023-24 district goal as per document number 96-24 attached to the agenda and the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? Okay, so it went out. Everybody, there were no, and the corrections went out, so everything's good.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 7, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to approve retiring the Series 4000 policies, curriculum, and instruction currently in effect for the district, and appoint the second reading of revisions and updates to Series 4000 curriculum and instruction policies as per document 85/24 attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 8, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to approve the first reading of Policy Series 2000, School Board Governance and Operations, as per document 90-24, attached to the agenda and the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 9, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to approve the first reading of Policy Series 3000, Administration, as per document number 91-24, attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 10, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to adopt the 2023-24 professional development plan for the 2023-24 school year as per document 93/24 attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 11, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to adopt the 2023-2025 academic intervention services plan for the district as per document 94-24 attached to the agenda and the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? Natalie, do you want to just kind of say what this is?
This time,
Huh?
Ms. Levine did it this
Oh,
time.
okay. Ms. Levine?
Yay!
So first, I'd just like to thank both committees, our Professional Learning Committee and our MTSS Committee, for their help in finalizing and developing these plans. Barbara, I think what you're referring to is the Academic Intervention Services Plan, and that is our plan to provide services to students depending on their needs, their academic needs primarily, especially in Tier 2 services that are required by the state based on test scores, particular test scores, standardized test scores, but also needs that arise for our students that we're noticing in classrooms.
Okay.
So we provide different levels of services depending on the building, and that's essentially, that plan documents not only how, but why, basically what criteria we're looking for in order to help our students and move students into academic services, and what criteria are needed for exit of academic intervention.
And that's all 3 buildings?
Yes, for all 3 buildings.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. That's it, right?
That's
Public
it.
comment. I'd like to open it up to public comment on any agenda item. Is Jeannie going to the garbage or to the? New. Okay.
I have a calendar item.
Okay.
November 30th, Thursday, November 30th, our Dr. Massera will be holding one of our parent learning series workshops for parent on coping with anxiety, working with anxiety. Yes, working with anxiety, something we can all relate to. I want to encourage parents to take advantage of it. It was well attended last year, and we're looking forward to another session. So that's next Thursday, November 30th.
What time?
7 o'clock here at the high school. Thanks.
And I could just acknowledge Dr. Macera's dedication to providing this opportunity for our families. His last session had about 30 parents in the room, and they all benefited from kind of hearing of each other's struggles and issues, both for their children, but even for themselves. And it was a really great learning experience, and Dr. Macera was terrific. So I encourage everyone to come out.
And they'll go out, those notices will go out?
Yes, so they'll be going out, our typical constant contact newsletter flyers and things.
Okay.
Will, up in the library, the high school library? Okay, thank you.
Any other public comments? Upcoming meetings? Dr. Luff, do we have any?
So our next meeting is scheduled for December 14th. As we mentioned earlier, we plan to recognize the state championship game day girls cheerleading team. And then our first two meetings of the new year in January, we'll be doing our long-range financial forecast. And then our budget presentations will begin in the second meeting in January.
All right.
You guys are in for a treat.
Okay.
Like a surprise? Happy treat?
The budget season is always a treat for everyone.
Yes, it
Right,
is.
Jill?
Cookies.
Yep.
Viewership's going to go way up.
Okay. Board member comments?
Yeah, I'd like to revisit a comment I made at the last meeting, and that is to change our start time to 6 p.m. effective our beginning in January. That gives time. The December meeting would be at the regular time at 7. It would give time for the community to learn about the change at the startup. I feel that, look, we're leaving now at 9 o'clock. These young people have school ahead of them the next day. Some of us work. It would be 8 o'clock right now if we started at 6. I think it behooves us, weather-wise, the darkness, and also the ability to get enough rest every night for us to start this at 6. Every town meeting, and now many committee meetings, start at 6. Presentations in the district start at 6. I think our board meetings need to start at 6, and I put that out to the board to decide this evening. If so, let's announce it to the public and begin this with our starting in January.
So my comments on that, I know I didn't make any comments last meeting. It's not that I'm against it. What I would recommend is that we say pilot it for 3 months to see how it's going. We want to make sure we don't limit any public involvement, and say if, like for example, I don't get off of work until after 5 o'clock, so it's hard for me, being a working person, to get here all the time by if it was at 6. So I'm not sure how it's going to impact me at that point. In addition to that, there's audit meetings that occur prior to our meetings, and if those start at 5, our community involvement in those may have some. They may have some restrictions there.
But
So
we've
we
had
need
conflicts with
excuse me, can I finish,
concerts and
please?
everything.
We need to look at that and make sure there's no conflict there. Like, again, myself, that'd be hard for me to be here at 5 o'clock for a meeting, not depending on what my schedule is. And just in addition, I just want to make sure that we understand that any executive session will have to occur after our meeting if we do make this change.
Well, that's the whole point. We have an executive session tonight. We're not going to get out of here at 9:30, 10.
Right, but we.
And for people who work, that's just inappropriate when we can change it to a more compatible time at 6. Look, public, how often have we filled these chairs? You know, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to see you here at our meetings, but unfortunately, that's not the case. And I don't believe that will impact the public at all. I really don't. Because they show up when there's an important meeting. I've seen it at town board, starting at 6. When things are, you know, there's some change on the agenda, they show up. Otherwise, no. We have to consider students, we have to consider working people, and most of all, we have to consider the impacts of weather and darkness upon our meetings. So I would really like to move forward with this.
What I ask is that we pilot it for 3 months and see how it goes.
I like the idea of a pilot, and one of the things that I would just say is when you first presented this, Sam, you said that when the town did it, you did it in a staggered approach where you were starting at 8 or 9 o'clock, and then you moved an hour up, and then you moved an hour up, right?
No. When I became supervisor, I changed it that very first meeting at 6 p.m. Prior to that, it was 7.
And then prior to that, it was
20
8 or
years
something,
before,
right?
it was 8.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is, as a working person also, one of the things that I want to be cautious of is not just for myself or for Jeanette, but really for future board members to be able to set that precedent, and then maybe they won't be able to run because they get out of the city at 5 o'clock and are taking the train back home. So I don't know what that would look like, but I do want to be cautious of that. What I am proposing is that we meet halfway and that we pilot a 6:30 meeting, because that gives us a little bit of buffer room. Like tonight, I got here a little bit late to the superintendent's hearing because
Then let's keep it at 7.
that.
Let's keep it at 7 and drop the whole thing. Keep it at 7. You know, at 6:30, what's that going to do? We either are going to embrace a time change or we're not. I don't want to go half-ease on this. 6 o'clock, to me, is very reasonable. We have students who have to go to school the next day. We have working people who have to be up early the next day. I don't understand the problem with 6 o'clock. Look, if somebody wants to run for the board and they know the start time is 6 o'clock, then they either run for the board or they don't. If they can't make the 6 o'clock, they can't make the 6 o'clock.
But it might limit them in their
No
ability to do
limit,
that.
no limit. You make your schedule based upon that. That's volunteering, and that's governmental work. When you look at a position that you're going to run for, and you see that time is not appropriate for me, well, you don't run for it.
One of the other things that I would say is that there may be other ways to shorten some of our board meetings, like perhaps only having 1 presentation in a night as opposed to 2 or 3. So I'm just saying that there are other things that we might be able to do to be able to leave at a decent hour. I 100% hear, and for me, the most important part is these beautiful children that are here,
agree.
that have
I
to go
agree.
home and get rest for the next day, as well as the people who work in our district who have been here since 7 o'clock this morning. So I don't know what the full answer could be, but I just think that we need to be cautious about, changing it that much, that soon.
Well, if there's-
I agree with, I think piling it at a 6:30 would be a good option to test that out. But how would that impact the students? What would you think about that?
I don't like the 6:30 because it is an odd number compared to every other meeting that goes on in the town of Putnam Valley. They're all 6 o'clock, including park and recreations. I could go on. And our school meetings, we often meet 6 o'clock for a committee meeting or something like that. I don't know, if you don't want it, you want to keep it 7, we'll keep it at 7. Like I'm only one voice out of 5.
I'm going to ask the students, because I have a feeling that, like, my bedtime is 9:30, but I bet your bedtime isn't even close to that, because I know your clocks are later.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, school is exhausting, but I do also understand that you guys probably, you have other jobs and maybe you have kids. I don't know what's going on, but that might impact, you going from work to here. I mean, that's a lot of juggling. But I don't know if I have like a good enough opinion. I don't know.
I mean, just using like a personal thing, I think there's benefits to both, but like for me, like as an athlete, I have to go home and like shower, so I don't know if moving it to 6 would be great, because if I came here, you'd have to deal with my stench, and I don't know if that's something. I don't know if that's something that you.
That's a good reason to start at 7.
I don't know if that's something that you'd want to do, especially these two. I don't think they would want that at all. So that's just a little thing that I.
We appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, Reese and Kara, we can move his seat to the other side if we need to.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna stay relatively neutral here, but like I agree with Charlie, but well, not like I like it today. Like I came from the gym, and so I I'm flexible for whatever. Like, I can work my schedule, but like, I somewhat am similar to Mrs. Parmalee, where my bedtime's 10:30. I like to go to bed earlier, and so I am neutral. I see the benefit to both.
Switzerland.
You see, okay.
I agree to stay neutral because I think it's more important for you guys to be here. Obviously we're here anyway to comment, but I think it's more important for you guys to be able to get here and stuff.
Well, I hadn't thought about the superintendent's listening hour, the Mr. Mello's listening hour. I mean, we do have things that start at 6.
I mean, like Tom
before
Sawyer
a
getting
board
here at
meeting.
5 o'clock for the audit meetings, I'm not sure that will happen because he works full-time
Right.
also.
So do we pilot? Do we?
No, you know what? Let's keep it at 7 then. I put it out.
Okay.
Yeah, and no sense rocking the boat.
Ms. Corbett spoke to me, she said she'd be in favor of changing start times.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Helen Corbett's texted me to say
She would be in favor of switching the times
To 6. Yeah, well,
I agree that it would be great to do it earlier. I just worry about the unintended consequences that maybe we haven't thought about yet. That's all. There's a lot
Do
of
we want to
pieces.
pilot it for 3 months? I mean, it's the 3 darkest months, January, February, March. I mean, I don't.
I would be good with that. To pilot 6 o'clock for the 3 months, January, the thing is, at 6 o'clock, you still have some of the remnants of the infrared from the sun the roads aren't going to freeze unless you have a very deep freeze in the teens at 6 o'clock. But you certainly will have that at 9 or 10, as the temperature drops. So I'm concerned about that,
Well, we also, if there's ice, we don't have a meeting, so we have to
Do you
keep that
have
in
a
mind.
thought, Dr. Love? You would prefer to remain like the students? Leave it to a board?
I'm one of the few people who gets paid to sit here, so I'll be here anytime you guys tell me the meeting starts. That's my opinion. I mean, there's some valid. Listen, I would love to get home an hour earlier too. Like, I'll be eating dinner at 10:30 tonight.
I know.
But I also recognize that it prohibits our ability to have meetings beforehand. I think Crystal brings up a very valid point of like, we don't exactly have people lining up for these volunteer positions, and any obstacles that we put into place that may prevent someone from running, I think we're going the wrong direction. I think we should be going out of our way to make
Well, we
it.
don't know if it's an obstacle. It may be a plus for many people also. I can get home early, We don't know about that.
Right, we don't know.
So that's shaky.
But that being said, this is certainly a board decision more so than a superintendent decision. So
You're Switzerland,
I'll
too.
follow the students and claim Switzerland status.
So I'm good to pilot it for 3 months for 6 o'clock.
My question to Maureen is, your notices for the meeting, how will that impact it?
I have to do notice now.
So how far in advance do you have to do that?
Well, I haven't done the January ones yet.
Okay,
Month in advance.
okay.
You've been to a lot of
Maybe that
board
becomes the
meetings. Is
practice.
do you have an opinion?
I agree with Crystal, I just worry about the future.
I agree.
If someone says, oh, I can't run, I couldn't be there at 6 o'clock, I think you might limit yourself.
Right.
I don't think someone will say, well, I'll ask them to start at 7, I don't think they would think that's possible. That would be my decision.
And I don't think as working full-time, I tell you, I can't say if my boss scheduled a meeting at 5 o'clock, no, I can't. Depending on what the meeting was, that's my priority, that's my work, that's where I get paid.
No, I understand
And
that.
so.
I
we
do.
can't-
I do, Jim.
Yeah.
I
But
do understand
Your
that.
statement earlier didn't sound like that, so I just
No,
wanted.
no, I said for people who run, if they understand that the time is 6 o'clock, they understand the time is 6 o'clock.
They do, but then you are kind of limiting the pool. And one thing that I would say
I don't-
is for working families, they are the people, for the most part, that are going to have children in the schools. And I think that that's a very important thing that needs to be said, that we, to Dr. Luff's point, we need to ensure that we're not putting any obstacles in the way of people who are, again, getting out at 5 o'clock, needing to deal with whatever they need to deal with so that they can be present here. I mean, I go through tons of motions to ensure that my children are taken care of so that I can be here in peace and focus on this work. That takes me some time. A lot of balls in the air. So I want to just, not for myself, but for future people who may run, not allow that to be an obstacle for them not to run.
But
So-
again, I don't.
And you're right, some people might want to get home early, and that might be a reason why they run.
That's
I
exactly
agree with
right.
you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
That's how I view it. I mean, a lot of people, and I've been in politics for many years, and everybody has always said, I got to get out of that meeting. Come on, man, let's start a little bit earlier. We go too long. Every single time, whether I was up at the legislature, in the council, as supervisor, that was always the common concern. These meetings last too long. I'm getting home at 9:30. I can't put my kids are already asleep. I want to spend some quality time with them, and that's a major concern. And over the years, that has been my experience. But again, I defer to the board.
So we all
I'm
agreed to
good with
we
it.
all agreed to pilot 6 p.m. for 3 months?
Yeah, I'm good with that, for a 3-month
All right, then
time,
we'll talk
and
about
see
it.
how it goes.
We'll talk about it and see how we liked it.
Right.
Okay?
So we're going to do that, a
gonna
pilot for
pilot it
3
for
months?
3 months.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, I'm good with that.
Starting in
Thank you.
January.
Thank you. Yep.
During January.
Charlie, what
Go
spring
ahead.
sport you got lined up? Winter sport?
Winter sport.
What winter sport?
Yeah.
Oh, it's wrestling. So,
You need
so
a
I don't know
shower.
if
You'll
you
be
want. It's not just my smell.
Sorry,
you're gonna be
sorry,
smelling
sorry,
it.
ladies.
Yeah.
Maybe you can take into consideration if we have like a heavy agenda. I know that's not like, you probably want to set a uniform time for them, but maybe if you need to have a busy agenda, maybe you can make an exception for the time. Or like someone said before, having one presentation instead of 2, or balancing that out. So, you can't always control, if the public comes here and says something, but maybe like balancing more, the length of it and, what we can like condense a little bit.
Okay. Thank you. Crystal, you attended 1 or 2 building steering meetings?
I have attended one thus far. I have another one early December at the middle school, but I have attended the elementary steering meeting. And it was well attended by staff. We did have 3 parents, including myself. And Judy was there, and Dr. Podesta, of course. And we talked about the work that we started last year, actually, because I was on the committee last year, has now come to fruition and is almost done. And it was a major project that we took on, which was to create a document for welcoming families and giving them all of the information that they could ever need to be in Putnam Valley. One of the things that I noticed when I moved to Putnam Valley, the pandemic happened, so I felt very disconnected from the school. I didn't know how to put money on the school bucks. I didn't know where to get information about sports, and not being able to have access to the school kind of limited that for me. So we talked about that, and now there is an extensive document that is almost polished and ready to be shared, with all kinds of information for everyone, but specifically for new parents to the district, whether they're entering through kindergarten or entering in another grade level, to be able to have that information at their fingertips. There's linked information, so it's an electronic document that has many, many links to other documents where people can just go to town on whatever information they're looking for. But what I thought was so thoughtful of this committee was adding pieces of information that really have nothing to do with the schools, but have to do with our kids. So where do I sign up for town sports? How can I do that? There's information about that. Where's the lost and found? What's the curriculum? All kinds of information that, as a parent, someone might be looking for is going to be available, and it will all be translated in Spanish, which I think is phenomenal. So that document is coming along and should be ready, I think, soon. So I want to thank Dr. Podesta for that. The other topic of conversation that we talked about for this coming year, because the parents that are on this committee, except for myself, are newer to the committee than the previous committee, are the food services. A little bit of a hot topic right now, just with respect to the fact that some glows like, oh, the kids love the Caesar salad, which is wonderful, right? We want our kids eating healthy. And there are many options for students. There's a vegetarian option every day, but there is a concern about, oh, my daughter ate, 2 bags of Doritos today. How is that possible as, a first grader, right? What does that look like? So we're gonna be just asking some questions and looking into that. And I think that will be good information for us as we have a new company that we're working with, like Joe mentioned before.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
You and
I've been out
Crystal
of town.
both worked on the protocols,
On the
right?
protocols, yes.
Are we going to talk about them at the next meeting?
think so.
You want to do that?
Let Helen clear. I think
They're on
would
the
be good.
agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
5 of us are here.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comments? No? Okay, then I would like to, I've completely lost my words.
Executive session?
No, but first we have to, we're going to, yes, I'd like to
Convene executive session.
take a motion to adjourn, wait a minute, it's here, an anticipated executive session for one matter of the employment history of one particular person.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There will be no business conducted afterwards.
Okay, good. Thank you.